What's up? Welcome back to another episode of Shralp Stories. I'm sorry we're a day late, but things have been super hectic over here from running racetrack and it getting more business and things like that. But we have been up to our ears in all sorts of stuff. So all good things. But we are doing another Shralp Stories episode today, and we're going to do a little Quiver breakdown. We're going to look through some of the boards that I have in my Quiver and my racks at home. But first, you know the rules. We're going for a Shralp, and it's actually kind of raining right now. It's drizzling just a little bit. It's not crazy, but there's a bit of a storm here in Southern California, and you know what that means. When there's a storm, it's firing. It's always firing, but it's extra firing because it's really windy. So we're gonna take the GoPro down and do some POV clips with Gato-san and his little brother Linus, or Liam. His real name's Liam, but anyway, I got my trusty 6.0 channel bottom glass on thruster from Timmy Patterson, and we're gonna go for a shred, see how we can do. Like I said, it's pretty windy and pretty choppy, so it's gonna be tough, but we'll give it a go. All right, let's get it. Is it firing?
Yeah. It's firing.
Is it firing?
Yeah. Look at that one.
We're getting smoked. Whoa. Oh, it's sick. Ow. Oh my. Dude, how far did you go?
All the way to the river.
All right, so we're back. Round two, Shralp number 2 going down. The wind backed off, and there is still some swell in the water. So we're gonna pin it back over there as fast as we possibly can. And I gotta get home and do the board review after this. So we're gonna go for a quick Shralp with Tanner and Gino and a few other boys I think are down there. So let's go do it. Damn, it's changed. How different is it than earlier?
Kind of cool. That's actually insane.
Yeah. Alright, so we made it back to Shralp HQ, and we're going to go through some of my favorite boards. So I actually don't have all of my surfboards here right now. Some of them are in storage, but we have a lot of my daily drivers here. A lot of you guys have seen a lot of these, like the round nose fish from Matt Biolis. It's original from probably the 90s or early 2000s. And I like riding a lot of different types of surfboards, whether it's short, long, round, all of the above. They all do different things. This would be a great example of a small wave board. Obviously in the 5.5 19 1/4 movie that Matt Biolis did back in the 90s, they were riding them in really big surf. So that being said, you can ride these boards in all sorts of different conditions, but it's mostly geared to be a groveler. That's the idea behind the board. So it goes from grovelers to big wave boards at the end. So we'll start at the beginning. I have some cool asymmetrical boards that I've collected from Donald Brink. This one I actually broke a fin box out of, so I haven't been riding it. That's why it's still got the IPD sticker on it, but super fun surfboard. Works insanely well. And then you guys have seen clips of me riding what we call the big toe or the chicken nugget. So you guys should be well versed. If you're not, look back in some of our older videos, you'll see some footage of the big toe. We also have right behind it, it's a G&F double bump butt tail, swallowtail kind of thing. It's got a lot of V in the belly of the board right here. And you can tell I'm only 5'10"-ish. So the board's probably 5'6"-ish, but very pointy, narrow nose. Obviously the tail is crooked. You can tell that the board's leaning on its side. It should be like that, but the board needs some love. It's got some dings on it, but it works so good with the glass-in fins and the little old school lockbox kind of thing that they got in the tail there. But super fun, super rippable board. I've also done a video on this board. You could dig through the archives. We got some fishes. This is actually my fiance's fish that she got in Indo. Super fun board. It's a little tracky, but it's kind of fun. I think it's because the fins are so close to the tail, which is actually really similar to the board that's in this bag here. Pretty tracky, wide tail block, but works great for mushy point break style waves, or even barrels too. They fit in the barrel really well. They like to go fast twin fins. There's not a lot of drag on them, so they will make sections and they go straight really well. They just don't turn that great. So a tight pocket turn is pretty difficult. But then we'll move on. We got a little hand-shaped quad that Timmy made a long time ago, actually. It's got some channels in the back of it. It's 5'4", 19 3/4-ish by 2 1/4, somewhere in there. 2.38 is what it is exactly. But it's a cool little round board for slabby waves. Like for shallow, really steep waves that aren't giant, it fits in the pocket insanely. So this is like my little slabby board that I got here. I got a fish that I shaped that I've done some videos on. You guys have seen, I won't pull out. XTR, great surfboards. Love these things. This is the dual carbon situation that they got, flex pattern. Works really well. I actually wrote it this morning. Fun fact. But we got another hand-shaped thruster. You guys have seen me ride a bunch of times. We got the board that I broke the nose off of like 4 episodes ago from Timmy. It's a A6. It's supposed to be kind of like a round nose fish, the Timmy version of a round nose fish, but tuned up in his own special way, you know? This thing's really cool. You guys probably haven't seen me ride this. This is similar to that quad that I just brought out a second ago. It's, here, I'll put it on the ground so you can see how tall it is, but it's 5'9", and I wanted a 5'11" or 6'0" smash down into like a 5'9" with a pintail so that I could ride it at the local point right here for the winter time. We don't name names. But I wanted something that held really well, hence the pintail, but short because it's a really steep, tight pocket. So I didn't want all the nose length catching either on the lip or on the bottom when I'm trying to drop in. So I went for something really short, higher rocker, threw the carbon in it so that it won't break, which, knock on wood, it hasn't yet. But yeah, this thing's a magic little stick for some really hollow, really fast barrels. This is a very special surfboard. This is a Town & Country. A lot of you guys are probably familiar with it. It says it's 5'9", but it might be longer than 5'9", or maybe I'm shorter than 5'10". But it says 5'9" by 19 by 2.5", twin fin. It's the Saint model, and this is like the best surfboard for barrels I've ever had out of any of my surfboards. Like the fastest by far, catches waves super well, and turns on a dime. There's a little bit of V in it in the bottom down here, so it goes rail to rail really well. And it's super drivey. For being a twin fin, it has a lot of drive, and I think it's due to the tail being as thin as it is. It catches in the water line really well. And then up front, you can see there's a lot of beef in the nose. So it has a lot of float when you sit really far up on it. The deck rocker is really flat, but the bottom rocker is not quite as flat. So it really holds a lot of foam in this front part right here under the logo. So it paddles like a champ, but when I got this board, I was probably at 18, 19, 20-ish, somewhere in there. And it was my first time to Indonesia, and I did a Trax magazine photo thing. And they brought 4 boards from 4 random shapers for me to try. One of them was a Tyler Warren that I broke out there. Actually, I don't have it. One of them was a gentleman from South Africa. He lives over by J-Bay. And then the other one was a board from Australia, I think it was. And then the last one was this. And I kept wanting to ride this board, but I had to film on all of them, so I rode all of them anyway. But this thing was magic, and I was like, yo boys, I gotta keep this thing. This thing is insane. So super psyched that I still have this. I think the trip was in 2019. So, you know, a few years old. There's some dents on it and things like that. Somebody's head went through it right here. But other than that, the thing's in pretty good shape. So anyway, carry on. One day I'll do a video on this thing. Maybe this winter it'd be fun to do a video on that. So the next board I have is a very cool board from Casey Buck. I think he calls it the Phaser because of these little golf ball indents on it. I've done a really in-depth deep dive on this board and what I thought it did and things like that. But a really, really cool surfboard, and it works really well. I didn't notice the bottom much because the shape might need some love. You know, the board worked really well at times, but other times it kind of fought me. But supposedly, anyway, the Phaser bottom is supposed to make the board go faster. It has less friction on the water and less grip. So the water will flow over it more freely and generate more speed. Is like the whole idea. This isn't my board. This is actually my fiance's board again. It's one of her 3 boards that rest her mind. I think maybe she has 4. Anyway, this is a Pizel, and it's John Florence's personal board. I think she won it at a movie premiere or something, or they gave it to her or something like that. But it's signed by John. It has his name and all of his logos, and he wrote it. I mean, it's waxed, and there's dents in it. It's written. It's his board. So, kind of fun, memorabilia. It is, I don't know if it has the dimensions on it. Oh, so it's signed right here, Pizel 2013, and I think it just has liters on it, 25.5 liters. So pretty small. And 2013, I mean, John was a lot younger at that time. So this is one that we don't ride. It just kind of hangs out in the Quiver, keeps all the other boards company. In here I have a round pin or rounded thumb board. It's an alley rat. It's my, custom dimensions. Great board. I'm not going to pull it out because you guys have seen enough of it. This is a 6-channel glass and thruster from Timmy. Another board I've done a lot of videos on. Great surfboard. These are like daily drivers and daily drivers. Anyway, yeah, I read those. I'm not going to pull them out for you. This is a board that one of you Shralpers actually gifted me. Connor's neighbor pulled me out, and he thought it was like Andy Iron's board maybe because of the spray painted Billabong logo at the top and the airbrush and the era, But I think it'd be more like Parco if anything, but it says 4cc or something. I can't tell what that says, but JS4 or JS4. Maybe it's a personal, I guess. That looks like the same signature, and that says 4, so. I don't know whose it is, but cool board nonetheless. And I wrote it in my last video, so you guys have seen it. You've seen it do its thing. This is a very special surfboard of mine. The next one right here, and I don't ride it often, but I do ride it sometimes. So my uncle back in the day, he used to ride for Rip Curl as well as I did. And he used to ride Chris McElroy's surfboards. And if you know who Chris McElroy was, he was a legend around here in San Clemente. Prior to Matt Biolis and Timmy Patterson climbing the ranks, it was McElroy. And he was famous for his 6 channels, glass and thruster, and round pins. And the reason he was famous for them is they're always so extreme. They're super deep, and he did this funny thing. Right in here, there's what he called like a teardrop, and it's a high point. So right here, it's high, low in the center, and then everything goes down from there, right? You'd have to imagine it because you can't see it unless you get like a level. You can almost see it with my naked eye, like looking at it. But anyway, when they glassed the board at Basham's, they sanded through it and then it buckled right here, and I broke this fin box. But shout out Dan Benjoya, you're a legend, and you fix boards like they were never even broken. Anyway, that's why I don't ride this board that often, is because of the memorabilia. You know, always loved Chris McElroy, and this is one of the last boards that he made before he passed away. He also made Chloe and Dino a couple boards, I think, but this was in the batch in there somewhere, and he shaped it at Timmy's shop. So pretty special board. I'll ride it probably in the winter, you know, when the waves get better, and you know, I'm not gonna just thrash the thing just to thrash it. So moving on, we have a 6'3" Tyler Warren Swashtail. Fun board, kind of trippy. It's got down rails. It's supposed to be like a 90s style thruster, but you know, kind of funky. Ian Gautran actually blew out the fin box when we were in Spain, and I still haven't fixed it, and that was probably 4 years ago at this point, something like that. So anyway, great board. And then next we have one of my favorite surfboards I've ever owned, a copy actually of it. This is the 6'1", and this is what the Alley Rat was derived from. It's called the 90s model. This is the only thing it's ever been called. I don't even know if there's a logo on here. Oh, the A1, I guess, Andy Iron's first style board. But we took a couple different boards and smashed them together and made a 6'1", and I loved it. And I was like, Timmy, let's make like a daily driver version of this thing. So that was the Alley Rat. But this is the board, and I threw the mustache pad on there because I like the board feel, but I didn't want to slip off the back. So yeah, this thing's magic. I love this board when it gets a little bigger. It gets into waves really easily, makes the drop super drivey, and it holds. So that's why you don't see me ride it very often, because it's mostly for bigger waves. Next up, we have the Campbell Brothers, if I can get it out of here. Another really special surfboard. I actually messaged Malcolm about it, and he was thinking it was somewhere in the 90s based on the logos. They kind of quit using these logos at a certain point, and he was guessing it was probably in the 90s when this was built. But it's an all glassed in 5-fin Campbell Brothers Bonzer with the Moonlight glassing logo on the tail. So super, super cool surfboard. It works really well in barrels, don't get me wrong, but like I liked it the best like a lower style wave or something like that, where it's a little more carvy and kind of open. So I don't ride it all of the time because kind of like the Chris McElroy, I don't want to like mess it up and break it or thrash it. Next up, we got, this thing's kind of stuck in here, but it's a really cool board. You've seen me ride it when I went and hung out with Corey at his home zone, which we don't name. But it is a country surfboard, it's Hawaii, made by Roger Hines. That's who it is. Roger Hines shaped it. Super sick surfboard, glass in thruster. It looked like it was a Bonzer or quad at one time, but they broke out the pins, made a thruster. Whatever, hooks into barrels. Gets super barreled. I think it's 7 foot or 6'8" or something like that. Bigger board. But then we got a 6'8" Timmy round pin, glass in thruster. We got a hard edge 6'7" round pin thruster from Tyler Warren. And we have, you know, the board that I ride when it gets a little bit bigger than big. And it's a 7'6" thruster, V-bottom from Tyler Warren. You've probably seen some footage of me riding it somewhere, but this is mostly at like, you know, when it's giant and you want a lot of board to paddle in. So that is kind of the Quiver. I guess there's a couple more on the ground here. So we got my log. Me and Tyler Warren shaped this board along with this blue rail pintail. Tyler Warren and I shaped this board too. But we shaped this back, had to be like 2016. And it was super cool. I really wanted like a Phil Edwards inspired board. So we went with the three stringers on it, heavyweight blank, 2 layers of 10-ounce cloth, top and bottom, volan. So it's super, super heavy. And then we put a 11-inch glassed in Greeno fin. And actually, one time I was surfing it down the hill from here, and I lost it, and it was beach backwards, and it broke the fin right here where the white part ends. So I didn't know what to do. So I took fiberglass cloth and I made like a little panel, like this probably, and I glued it on there, sanded it down and shaped it to match the foil of the fin, and then put a couple layers of glass over it to actually like hold it on there. And been on there like for years at this point. Pretty stoked on the way that thing turned out. We got one of Dana's boards here, is chocolate fish. I ride it a little bit. It's 8 foot or so, maybe 9 foot, but fun little cruisy board. And then I have my 10-foot Jacobs that weighs like 10,000 pounds, has a D-fin on it. Timmy was thinking it was probably made in the early 60s, like 63, somewhere in there, because Phil Edwards came around and started, you know, asking shapers or shaping boards to foil the rails out, whereas these rails are really boxy. Like you can kind of see like very square compared to how curved this rail is. Super cool D-fin board, really good for like uppers church or something like that, that's like down the line and like, you know, cruisy. You're not turning very much on this kind of board. And then last but not least is the Roger Hines hand shape, and this thing is freaking magic. So I wanted a lightning bolt really bad. So I asked Roger Hines if he'd be down to make me a lightning bolt, because he used to shape him back in the day with Jerry and Rory and all the crew. So he made me a 8.3 lightning bolt and hand shaped the entire thing, you know, start to finish, which was super awesome. And then he actually got this fin from the Shapers Expo a few years back. Jerry Lopez foiled out this fin at the Shapers Expo to do like a little demo thing of what they were doing at the time. And he was nice enough to gift me the fin to glass onto the board as well. So, you know, super cool board. It has these little fluted wings in it. So you can see that's V-bottom, and then it goes into a hook at this rail line right here. So, I mean, very, very special board that I don't ride too often. And it was pretty funny actually. Dana, my fiance, ended up seeing the board. She's like, wow, that thing is so cool. Like, it would look really good hung up on the wall, you know? And I was like, maybe. And trying to like play it off, you know? Not yes, so she doesn't get all like, nah, actually we don't need. But I was like, yeah, it'd be cool. And then like, we should do it. Like, and she like went and like found racks to hang. And I think she liked the color a lot, but she didn't realize how special the board was to me too. So I was pretty psyched when she brought that up. But anyway, that is gonna be hung on our wall at some point, and I'm gonna wax it and still surf it. But it will be hung up on our wall and on display. But that's kind of the overview of like my general quiver of like our more daily drivers. I have some really special boards, like I said, in storage. Last one. This is for the Barrel Fest that Racetrack's putting on. Timmy was nice enough to donate a board for the winner of the contest. They're gonna get to walk home with this thing. It is a all-in model, one of Timmy's newest models. They put the wrong logo on it, so technically it's a blem board, but great shape, great board, nothing wrong with it, it's the wrong logo, and it has FCS2 fin boxes, very anti-FCS2, but that's just me. So anyway, sorry again that we have been slacking on making videos. Things have been really hectic, and I know today is Tuesday, but we are getting this thing out. We're gonna try to get back on the program. There's been a lot going on, so we want to keep making videos. Thank you for everyone for tuning back in all the time and, you know, staying on it and always dropping the love in the comments. We really appreciate it. So tune in next week. I promise you we will be making another video on Monday next week. Connor's getting married this weekend. We will be making another Shralp Stories episode, and I'm really hoping it airs on Monday. I'm just a little busy with all that. So anyways, thanks for tuning back in. Like, comment, subscribe. You know, tell me what board is your favorite. What board do you think I should ride more? And yeah, tune in next week. Catch you guys later.